right, good morning, everyone. We're going to get started. Good morning. All right. So pursuant to Chapter 4, Section 85 of the New York City Charter, a meeting of the Bronx Borough Board will take place this Monday morning, April 29th, starting at 10:08, held at 198 East 161st Street, third floor conference room. We want to thank again the District Attorney's Office for lending us space. We are going to go right into it and start with roll call. I'm going to start with Community Board 1, Community Board 2, Community Board 3, Community Board 4, Community Board 5, Community Board 6, Community Board 7, Community Board 8, Community Board 9, Community Board 10, Community Board 11, Community Board 12. Wonderful, thank you. Moving on to our city council members, District 8, Councilmember Diana Ayala. District 11, Councilmember Eric Dinowitz. District 12, Councilmember Kevin Riley.
Good morning, everyone. Simone Jones, Chief of Staff, representing Councilmember Riley.
District 13, Councilmember Christy Marmorato. District 14, Councilmember Pierina Sanchez.
Good morning,
District 15, Councilmember Oswald Feliz.
Good morning, Guillermo Rodriguez from Deputy Marshal Police
Thank you. District 16, Councilmember Althea Stevens.
Good morning, Lamont Carolina, Chief of Staff, representing Councilmember.
Welcome. District 17, Councilmember Rafael Salamanca.
Good morning, Saranya Jakovich, Director of Communications.
Welcome. District 18, Majority Leader, Councilmember Amanda Farias.
Good morning, Rebecca Nieves on behalf of Majority Leader of Congress.
Wonderful. Good morning, everyone, and welcome once again. I just want to make note that this borough board is currently being live streamed by BronxNet. Thank you to our partners at BronxNet. We have two very important agenda items this morning and two very important presentations. One that will require a vote from the borough board. So once again, we thank you for your attendance and your attention. Today we have the presence of city planning to present on the Metro North area study and related actions connected to the 4 new Metro North stations coming to our borough, and the Bronx Economic Development Corporation, formerly known as the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation, to talk about its new mission and initiatives, as well as our annual Bronx Week celebration. So with that, let's begin and transition into item number 1, agenda item number 1. As you all know, the Bronx Borough President's Office has been advocating for these new stations. The 4 Metro North stations coming to the Bronx are very necessary for the ongoing development and progress of our regional transportation system, and also it aims to address the transit inequities that have plagued our borough. Along with the 4 stations, a Metro North area study was initiated to look at the surrounding neighborhoods and assess the needs and opportunities for improvement. Today, the Department of City Planning will present their findings and recommendations to the Borough Board. It is my understanding that these recommendations have been shared with the community boards that are going to be immediately impacted, which are CB9, CB10, and CB11. Additionally, the Bronx Borough President's Office held a public hearing on this item on April 16th, where testimonies were heard in person and virtually. And so the next step in this process is obtaining a vote from the Borough Board. And so with that said, before I call up our presenter from DCP, I just want to acknowledge that we've been joined by our very own Bronx Borough President, Vanessa L. Gibson. Good morning, Borough President. Thank you so much for joining us. And so with that, we want to welcome Michael Cavalar from City Planning.
Good morning. I'll just jump in. For the sake of time, we're going to do a slightly abbreviated version of the presentation. The full presentation is available online, and we can share the information for that as well. So with that, we'll just jump in. This is some of what we're going to cover today. We're going to focus on the actions that are being contemplated that are the subject of the land use application before the boards and that went before the borough president just a couple weeks ago. So obviously, the reason we're here is that today the East Bronx lacks regional rail access. Tomorrow, new rail service will mean greater accessibility to the city and the region. This also means more choices for where Bronxites might choose to work, live, and enjoy themselves, as well as significantly improved connections to and from the region to critical medical, research, and jobs institutions within the borough. New service also represents a unique opportunity to plan thoughtfully to integrate these stations into the fabric of the communities they'll serve. Over the past 6 years, as noted, the Department of City Planning has worked with the MTA, community members, area institutions, and many others to envision what it might mean to grow thoughtfully around this new service. This work has included developing a joint vision for what it means to create a new front door to these Bronx communities, as well as a world-class entry point to one of the largest and most important job centers in the city at Morris Park. It also means strengthening job centers by allowing them to grow. There we go, I can hear myself now, while also allowing the growth of housing and retail needed for the success and growth of our Bronx employers. I'm very happy to have the Bronx Economic Development Corporation following us today. It also means mending seams between communities created by a history of inadequate public infrastructure and facilities, as well as allowing for a mix of housing and retail near new rail service in areas of the borough that have seen little such growth over the years. Okay. The 4 stations span areas that are demographically, geographically, and structurally quite diverse. As such, planning work over the years has taken a station-by-station approach. Importantly, while planning work has and will continue to proceed around all 4 stations, the land use actions contemplated here relate specifically to a series of proposed land use changes at the Parkchester, Van Nest, and Morris Park station areas. These changes span 3 Bronx community districts, community districts 9, 10, and 11, and will facilitate the development of some up to 7,500 units of new housing, including up to 2,000 units of permanently income-restricted housing in areas of the city that have seen little such growth. It will also support the growth of some 2.5 million square feet of commercial and community facility uses, and is estimated to create some 10,000 jobs. So just summarizing here quickly the actions, and then we'll step through them, each of them individually. We have a series of zoning map amendments, zoning text amendments, and city map changes. Okay. Just a quick note, I guess it seems maybe a slide is out of order, and I apologize for that. Again, the study officially launched in 2018, so we've been at this for about 6 years. This has included numerous working group meetings, in-person workshops, open houses, institutional convenings, remote open houses, especially as the pandemic started, workshops, informational sessions. We also still do remote office hours. People can sign up with us to talk to us one-on-one. That all continues to this day. And obviously, we've also worked over the years with a wide range of stakeholders, from the medical institutions to neighborhood organizations, neighborhood groups. Obviously, city agency partners have been a big part of this, as well as state partners, notably the MTA, obviously, as well as federal partners. Amtrak, in this case, as they own the rail line that will be used. So just quickly, some of the existing conditions, starting here with Parkchester Van Nest. Land use here is really characterized by a mix of industrial, retail, and automotive uses near the planned station, with a mix of low and mid-density residential districts characterizing the areas to the north and south of East Tremont Avenue, as well as the eastern extreme of the proposed rezoning area. Zoning here consists principally of M11 and C8 districts in terms of the areas that we would be affecting, as well as small portions of R4 and R5 zoning within the affected area, with R4 through R6 districts dominating the areas beyond. The area is generally pretty well served by transit. You have the 2-5 train at East 180th Street, facilitating walking to that station has been part of our focus in our work over the years. And of course, you also have the 6 train south of Parkchester, as well as a number of bus lines that run through the area. Here's just a selection of photos of some of the existing conditions in the area. We can come back to this if there are questions, but just for the sake of moving through this a little more quickly, we'll just note, we have obviously in the upper left-hand corner, this is Bronxdale Ave. We have Parkchester today, which is one of the few corridors that runs entirely east-west in the Bronx. Conditions are a little tough for someone that might be walking to and from the station in the future, so we're looking to solve for that as well as allowing for a little more housing. Let's see. And then we'll just go quickly to existing conditions at Morris Park. So here, land uses are really characterized by the predominance of the large institutional campuses in the area, east and west of the rail station. Within the affected areas are a number of lower scale industrial, commercial, and automotive uses as well. Nearby areas beyond the institutional campuses in north and south of the affected area include residential and commercial uses. Zoning within the affected area largely consists of M11 industrial districts with a mix of commercial and low to mid-density residential districts, pretty far west of the medical campuses and then east of the Hutchinson River Parkway. Transit in the area is characterized by bus service that runs along the major corridors of Morris Park Ave, Eastchester Road, and East Tremont Ave just to the south, as well as subway service about a mile to the south and southeast of the station area via the 6 train. And notably over the years, we'll just note we heard a lot about connectivity in and out of the Hutchinson Metro Centers being a real challenge. We heard this from elected officials, we heard this from the institutions, we heard this from staff at the institutions and so on and so forth. So it's just a characteristic that we want to acknowledge and is something that we're trying to address through our capital planning work. Here are just some images of the area. So you have a selection of images of Eastchester Road on the upper right-hand side. You have Waters Place in Eastchester kind of on the upper left-hand side, some of the conditions along Bassett in the lower right. And then in the lower left, just notably, this is roughly the view that someone getting off the station in the future would have as they look towards the west and the large institutional campuses of Montefiore and Jacoby and so forth over there. Okay, so now the proposal. We'll just step through the details here. And again, with this, we'll try to move a little more quickly just for the sake of time today, but we're happy to come back to any of these slides and talk through details as questions come up. Okay, so just in terms of general goals and strategies, over the years we've arrived at these overarching goals, which include leveraging new service for the creation of housing near transit, strengthening existing job centers and corridors, encouraging uses and development compatible with transit-oriented development, and increasing density on major streets, large sites, and at the new transit stations. So to this end, DCP, again, has a series of proposals that include zoning map amendments, zoning text amendments, and city map amendments. We'll start with the zoning map amendments. We've structured our proposal around these several conceptual areas that I'll just step through quickly. We have the station adjacent sub-area at Morris Park, which is kind of the dark red there. We have transitional residential sub-areas meant to respond to the surrounding lower density neighborhoods and step down to those. We have transitional mixed uses where we have slightly larger densities nearby. We have high density residential sub-areas near the future Parkchester Van Ness station. We have station adjacent retail areas, which is really a rather small area where we're trying to respond to some existing constraints near the Morris Park station area. We have an automotive sub-area over at Parkchester Van Ness. Similarly, we're trying to respond to some of the constraints there. And we have one large opportunity site at 1601 Bronxdale, shown in the sort of the brownish color here, at least on this screen. Up here it's brownish. Okay. So just starting quickly with the station adjacent sub-area, this is located by the future Morris Park train station. This is where we look to create density to capitalize on the new transit service, allowing for the growth of existing job centers and for the creation of new housing opportunities. Existing districts are listed at the top of the slides in the section where it says current zoning. As you can see, most of the rezoning area today is mapped with lower density M11 districts where little or no new residential development is permitted today. Highest densities would be permitted here. We propose a C44 district with an R8 residential equivalent through the special purpose district. So there will be a special district that travels with this, and it's part of the text amendments. We propose increasing both the permitted commercial and residential FARs compared to what you would otherwise typically see in a C44 district. You can see some of the stats in the table on the slide, and on the right-hand side, you can see sort of an artist rendering of what this might result in. This is a view looking from the corner of Morris Park Ave and Eastchester Road, looking sort of towards the northeast here, so you can see some of the conditions there. The next district we have, we refer to as mixed-use transitional. So here, to help the Morris Park Job Center grow, we are proposing C4 districts for this sub-area, which consists of areas a little further away from the future train station that are currently occupied by commercial and community facility uses largely, and are largely focused around healthcare. Similar to the station adjacent sub-area, we're proposing to increase the commercial FAR here through the special purpose district to promote new commercial uses. You can see in the artist rendering on the right what this might result in. This is sort of Eastchester at Waters Place as you kind of look north towards the campuses and some of the scale that might be allowed here. And the table on the left, again, has the stats that are applicable here, as well as a couple of small diagrams to show you what that might look like. The next area we have is the neighborhood commercial. Neighborhood commercial sub-area is located on the Montefiore Einstein Medical Campus. Our actions here are meant to facilitate and improve pedestrian connections to and from the Morris Park Station and those campuses, including the health campuses and so forth. Similar to key commercial corridors elsewhere in the project area, we propose a C24 commercial overlay here, as the existing large-scale community facility development that's on this campus doesn't currently allow for commercial uses here. So we're just trying to solve for that and allow for more active uses right across from the station there. Again, here you can see an artist rendering of what that might result in on kind of the right-hand side of the screen. The sort of taller towers you see there, those are the existing residential towers as part of the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. Next area we have is the transitional residential sub-area. This is meant to provide a transition between higher densities close to the stations and adjacent lower scale residential neighborhoods. This sub-area centers around key corridors such as East Tremont Avenue and Eastchester Road, as well as some other select areas. Here we're really looking to map this along those corridors, provide the transition and to respond to existing context while allowing for some more housing near the new stations. C24 overlays are also proposed along these frontages to ensure a more active streetscape or allow for a more active streetscape. And here, looking along East Tremont, this is sort of kind of close to Silver, looking towards the west, some of what you might see in terms of the scale that might be facilitated by the R6 district. Okay, next, we have the high-density residential sub-area, which is centered around the future Parkchester Van Ness Station and the large opportunity sites there, again, in an effort to create density closest to the future stations. As is true for all proposed residential and mixed-use commercial districts, a portion of all future housing units, which is an important note, would be required to be permanently income restricted per MIH. So we are mapping MIH as part of one of our actions, or proposing to map it. In response to the built form of the Parkchester Special Plan Community District, the proposed R8 district would ensure a maximum building height that we felt fits in better with that adjacent district. Okay. And then a couple of things. I think we lost a slide. I apologize, so I'm just going to jump over that. Next, we have what we're calling the Bronxdale Special Site. Due to its proximity to the new station, its size, as well as the potential to create open space and pedestrian access to the station, the proposed actions here have a somewhat tailored approach. We're proposing a peered M11A district. Just to note that this is a district that's being created by the Zoning for Economic Opportunity, so we're taking advantage of that creation. It's currently traveling with our application, but that is a district that is being created by ZO. So we're proposing the M11A, our 7-3 district, to provide flexibility for the existing industrial uses while allowing for mixed density, mixed use residential development. There's also an associated mapping action that we'll step through on this large site. That mapping action is actually an application by the project or the site owner, and it would set aside space for future publicly accessible open space on this large site, as well as a potential third connection to the Metro North Station here. As you can see, on the lower right-hand side here, just an artist's rendering of what some of the density might look like here along that new map street that would run through the middle of the site. Okay. And then finally, the final kind of area that we have is the automotive commercial sub-area running along a stretch of East Tremont Avenue. This is currently automotive use, really characterized by small, shallow lots abutting the rail line. These are very difficult to develop lots. We're proposing a modest change here to a C82, which is also an automotive district. This is proposed to allow for the existing auto uses to continue as of right, while also creating opportunities for other commercial uses such as retail that commuters and residents could patronize to come in over time. It's currently very difficult to develop these sites due to some of the existing rules under the C81 on these lots. Here you can see on the right-hand side, the left-hand side of the lower right image, you can see sort of the scale that the potential transition might result in for those shallow lots there. This is just a map summarizing those changes. They track pretty closely to the rail line in the areas near the rail line. So now we'll move on to our series of zoning text amendments. So we have a number of zoning text amendments. First and foremost, we're establishing the special Eastchester East Tremont Corridor District. So this would be a new special district. We're establishing a couple of districts. Again, the M11A, it's because of the parallel traveling of the applications. It's currently in our application. Depending on how things go, it could be removed from our application as it's adopted by ZEO. We're applying mandatory inclusionary housing. This is an important note. This would be the largest expansion of MIH since Jerome. We would extend the transit zone modestly onto the 61 Bronxdale site, and then we would remove language that exclusively applies to C84 districts within special plan community preservation districts areas. So we'll step through these just very quickly. With special district text, again, this would be called the Special Eastchester East Tremont Corridor District. The components seek to promote the growth of housing and employment centers around transit, fostering adequate range of services and amenities for residents, workers, and visitors, ensure lively and attractive urban streetscapes around the stations and along major corridors, and create a cohesive pedestrian and public realm network that would better connect future developments with future station areas and the surrounding neighborhoods. Just some of the guiding principles that we have here. We have a number of provisions. We're looking to support growth around new transit. Obviously, this will involve modifying FARs, as we just discussed, and heights in some R districts. Just a note, we have CHO indicated here. CHO is the City of Yes for Housing Opportunity. For the sake of transparency, we made a decision late last year, as that proposal started to come together, that we would reflect that proposal in our proposal. This has obviously environmental implications to show fully so that the boards and the borough president and the city council land use would be seeing the full potential effects of both of those combined together. So I think that's just an important point. We want to incentivize the construction of schools, and we propose, which is the proposal being brought forth by City of Housing Opportunity, to eliminate parking requirements for new housing developments within the special district. We also want to encourage the creation of lively public realm and urban streetscapes. So the special district text has elements that relate to density bonuses for providing public realm improvements, and authorization for block flexibility to accommodate any bonus that might be given to the transfer floor area at Morris Park Station. So we get what we think would be a better plaza condition there. We're going to allow for, or proposing to allow for, commercial activity on the second floors within the C24 districts. Here, this is also provision of ZEO. And we also have some streetscape regulations. There's a text map within the special district text that shows where we would be requiring streetscapes, where we might allow for flexibility for things like chamfering, so you open up corners and create more visibility and that sort of thing. We want to grow the existing job centers. It's worth just noting that the Morris Park Job Center is already one of the 10 largest job centers in the city. It's growing. There are plans for growth outside of our proposal as part of the Bronx Psychiatric Center redevelopment, and we want to support this and make sure it comes together as a sort of cohesive jobs campus around the new station. We propose simplifying and rationalizing bulk envelopes for non-residential buildings. Again, modifying FARs in the C43 and the C44 districts that would be mapped there. Facilitate development on shallow lots along the rail line, which can be difficult to develop. and then provide for a consistent parking and loading framework for non-residential uses within the special district. On the subject of MIH, here we have the proposed MIH area, which is coincident with the proposed rezoning area. And then just a note really quickly, as part of our planning work, we've also been working with our city agency partners on a series of city map actions and sort of public realm planning exercise. So there are 5 actions that are the subject of this land use application. So we'll just step through those very quickly here. This is a map showing the Morris Park Station area. You can see the sort of the station in the center there. The call-outs are just generally some of the capital planning work that has been happening over the years. The items in the pink are items for which there are specific mapping actions in front of you today. We have the Morris Park Plaza, so we have a mapping action that proposes essentially expanding the space that would be the plaza between Eastchester Road and Bassett Ave at the station there. That helps us do a couple of things. One of those, it gives us better visibility towards the new Metro North station so it doesn't get lost in the neighborhood, but it also would provide for an expanded open space there that we think is important. We have an action related specifically to the west side of Marconi Street. So if you're familiar with this area, today there are no consistent sidewalks along the west side of Marconi Street, and they're totally dependent upon private property owners providing access to them. We would like to widen Marconi and get sidewalks up the entire west side of Marconi Street, creating better general pedestrian conditions in the area. And then we have, and this is sort of evolving over time, but we have a proposal to basically open up the Hutchinson Metro Center by providing a northern connection that would help solve for a lot of the traffic issues that we heard a lot about over the years. Currently today, the only officially mapped intersection is at the south end at Waters Place and Marconi Street, and this creates a lot of challenges both for people that might be going to medical appointments, but also for staff in the area as they come and go, and it can be a challenge for employers to bring on staff who are familiar with the challenges of getting in and out of the Hutchinson Metro Center. So we've been trying to solve for this. So we have a sort of an action that is meant to get at this. Okay. And then at Parkchester, we have a number of things we've been working with agency partners over the years. We have 2 mapping actions here in pink. Again, this is the 61 Bronxdale site. There's a mapping action actually filed by the property owner, which is intended to set aside some space for public open space, working in conjunction with the public realm bonus that's part of the special district text, but also providing access into that site via Map Street and a potential third connection to the train station there. In blue on the slide, you can see what is a very minor demapping action to create a more regular intersection condition at the corner of this large site right at the edge of Parkchester. So that is also a part of the proposal. Just a note on the city's workforce development and jobs planning work. If we step back and just take a look at the larger regional context, this line is connecting to a line that travels all the way up to New Haven. It's already a pretty naturally occurring life sciences corridor in the area that kind of travels down to to Midtown Manhattan. Today, obviously, no trains stop on this line in the East Bronx. Alcela trains do go down this line, but they travel through the East Bronx without stopping. In the future condition with this line now being connected up and down between Midtown and Manhattan, we think there's an important role to play for Morris Park in this. And then, in fact, there's already sort of a developing role through some of what the Albert Einstein College of Medicine has been doing, as well as other actors in the area. Again, it bears repeating, Morris Park specifically is already one of the 10 largest job centers in the city, and the new station will be landing right in the center of that. And we think this is a unique opportunity to ensure that this center is more tightly integrated into the borough more generally, and the neighborhoods that will be served by the station, but also the region and the city at large. Morris Park specifically is already home to a large array of institutions. These include medical and research institutions, as well as other employers. All told, there are some 3,000 students within the area. You have the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, obviously, but Mercy also has a campus within the Hutchinson Metro Center. This is an important campus to them. It does have something of a focus on healthcare. This obviously makes sense. There are over 300 medical offices in the area, and some total 23,000 jobs within the surrounding area. So it's already a very important and large campus, and we see this growing in the future. On the lower part of the screen, you can see where it says future redevelopment of the northern portion of the Bronx Psychiatric Center. This is a state project. This is moving forward at its own rate, but will bring another 1.2 to 1.8 million square feet of commercial and life sciences uses and that sort of thing. So this is all kind of happening together. To ensure that we've been thinking thoughtfully about what these opportunities mean for Bronxites specifically, DCP has undertaken a study under the guidance of the Mayor's Office of Talent and Workforce Development. The goal of this is to bring forth a plan that not only helps these institutions to grow, but also identifies pathways for connecting Bronxites to job opportunities in the area and in key industries. The result of this work will be a series of recommendations that we look forward to sharing with the public later this year. They're being worked on now as we speak. Importantly, we've also been happy to support New York City schools. There's been an ongoing conversation, which perhaps many of you are familiar with. There's an opportunity at Morris Park for the siting of a STEAM school that would be focused on healthcare and life sciences. We think this aligns very well with this vision of connecting Bronxites specifically to these careers and these opportunities. A STEAM school, if you're not familiar, is a school that's it's sort of in addition to high school. You go there, it's additional training. You get like specific experience in specific areas. There's a good model that we've been looking at, which is the STEAM school in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. This STEAM school we envision would be focused on healthcare and life sciences, perhaps among other things. But that conversation has been moving forward. We greatly appreciate the support of the borough's president's office and everyone in having those conversations, and we look forward to seeing how that shapes up. Just a note, we won't go into the details here just for time, but we can come back. Obviously, this is a large study. It has had a full environmental review as well as racial equity report associated with it. We speak through these slides in detail in the presentation to the City Planning Commission from January 22nd of this year. We can share that information if you'd like to step through it. But otherwise, just again, for the sake of time, we'll jump through it here. To summarize again, the city is proposing a series of zoning text, and city map changes. These affect neighborhoods of Morris Park, Parks Van Ness, Westchester Square, as well as others in community districts 9, 10, and 11. We believe this will support the growth of jobs and housing in the East Bronx, up to nearly 7,500 units of housing, including almost 2,000 units of permanently income-restricted housing, again, in an area that has seen very little MIH mapped since its inception, as well as 1.23 million square feet of growth in commercial uses, almost 1.9 million square feet of growth in community facility uses, and projected to create some 10,000 jobs. So you're all very familiar with this. Maybe we can just leave it on this slide. This is where we are, obviously, in the land use process. We're in April. We presented to the borough president as part of the borough president's hearing a couple of weeks ago. And and with that, maybe I'll hand it off to Paul if he has anything he wants to add to that.
No, I think, no. Yeah. I think, so we're, just to conclude, I think, we're at the borough president stage. We'll be moving on to City Planning Commission, and for those who are interested, the City Planning Commission the hearing is scheduled for May 15th, so you all have the opportunity to participate and testify there in person and also virtually. And I think with that, we can go ahead and conclude our presentation and take any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michael. And thank you, Paul Phillips, our Bronx Borough Director. We're very, very grateful for this very thorough presentation. Before we move on to questions, I just want to acknowledge that we've been joined by the Chair of Community Board 1 and our representative from Councilmember Dinowitz's office. Once again, thank you for the presentation. At this moment, I want to call upon our Borough President, Vanessa L. Gibson, who will provide remarks and speak in support of this proposal.
All right. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here for our monthly Borough Board meeting. Thank you to our Deputy Borough President, Janet Baguetto, and our entire team from Borough Ops, our Senior Advisor, Director of Community Boards, our Planning and Housing Division, and everyone here from the office that facilitate these meetings each and every month. To all of my colleagues in government, our council members, our chairpersons and district managers, as well as executive members of our community boards, and we also have city agencies who are here. Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Paul, for the very thorough presentation that was also provided during our very own public hearing earlier this month. Just want to call all of my colleagues' attention to several items. As you can see, this is a very extensive proposal that is before all of us today. I want everyone to understand that we started this process back in 2018 under the leadership of my predecessor, Ruben Diaz Jr., and the Diaz administration that started this process, looking at a $3 billion investment in the Bronx, and specifically in the East Bronx, at what it means for our local economy, what it means for job creation, stimulating our job growth, and really opportunities that the Bronx has never seen like this. The degree and the magnitude of this project is so important for our borough. While the 4 Metro North stations and the expansion to Penn Station fall within Community Board 2, Community Board 9, Community Board 10, and Community Board 11, I want everyone to understand the magnitude that this will have on the entire borough. There was a time during the height of COVID-19 when our unemployment rate was 25.6%. So many industries were decimated, and so many of our residents and our constituents lost their jobs, lost their income, lost wages, and were really struggling to survive. And years later, as we rebound from COVID-19, I am very proud to say that our unemployment today is 6.6%. And that is only because of the incredible work that has been done by all of you and all of our stakeholders across this borough, because we want to be very intentional and very purposeful with all of the work we do, creating good paying jobs, pathways to the middle class. The 4 Metro North stations will be union built. And that is unheard of when it comes to union pathways and apprenticeship opportunities for many of the men and women in our communities. When you look at transportation equity, we cannot say that every neighborhood is really touched when it comes to equity in transportation. So these are neighborhoods from Co-op City, Section 5, Hunts Point in the South Bronx, Morris Park in the East Bronx, and the Parkchester Van Ness community also in the East Bronx. We have identified as transit deserts. Residents, commuters are not able to get around. If you talk about some of the health disparities that we're facing, high asthma rates, heart disease, obesity, all of the things that we know are absolutely preventable, a lot of that is because we have not yet reduced our carbon footprint. We have too many vehicles on our roads, too many trucks. So everything that we're doing is absolutely ambitious around electrifying our trucks, electrifying our city buses, making sure we reduce our carbon footprint so that residents that we represent have options. This work is about choices so that we can add more tools in our toolbox. Transportation equity is something that we strive for every day in this city, and the Bronx is a part of that conversation. So the Metro North expansion to me is a game changer, and it is truly going to be transformative. For as long as I can remember, housing and commercial development have been a part of this plan. So I want everyone to be very clear, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. People that may not support this plan are sharing incorrect information. Housing and commercial development has been a part of this proposal from the infancy when this started. And yes, it's come to more of a plan today because of a lot of input along the public review process. And now that this proposal is in our office, we had our hearing both virtual and in person, and we got a favorable support. More people that testified virtually and in person supported the Metro North because of what it can do. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. And that's why we have a Bronx delegation at the City Council that will carry this project forward as it goes to City Planning Commission and then to the New York City Council. The delegation really will carry this conversation for the larger City Council body. And so I expect my colleagues in the Bronx to make sure that you will lay any of the misinformation that is out there when it comes to the Metro North expansion. There are neighborhoods in our borough that have not done their fair share when it comes to affordable housing and pathways to the middle class. I still, even at this point, have some concerns around density, around height, around square footage, around FAR. And so we will work with the City Council on that, because this plan is not yet final. I also want to add that incorporating MIH in this plan, there is a minimum level of zoning that we have to achieve, and that is R6. And so in order for any housing in this plan to be affordable, we have to start at R6, right? That is a fact. That is a part of what was done in MIH ZQA during the last administration when I was a part of the city council. And so that's the minimum. That's not the maximum. We obviously want as many opportunities as we can for deeply affordable housing. Some of the parking restrictions I also have concerns with because I know that as an administration, there has been a loosening of parking requirements for every project that we've seen in the borough and in the city. Of course, I have concerns about that because I realize that many of our residents do drive. The challenge is getting residents out of their vehicles and into a different mode of transportation. So that's why this proposal has come forth, activating many of our spaces that are underutilized, looking at pedestrian plazas, looking at a lot of capital commitments that we will ultimately see in the East Bronx, and that will also come to fruition as well. So I am excited about the possibilities of a $3 billion investment in our borough, one that has never happened and one that is absolutely possible. And I think for all of us, we have to be open to new ideas. We cannot be afraid of embracing change. Change can be good as long as it's done in a balanced way with sensitivities around density, around the character of our neighborhoods. We don't want to disrupt that. We want to add more value to valuable communities today. We want to make sure that residents that we represent feel that this project is bringing more and not taking away. So we're very intentional about supporting the Metro North, about making sure that the plan is the very best. As someone who was a part of a rezoning back in 2018, known as Jerome Neighborhood, it was not easy, but we were able to do it. And now we're seeing the fruits of a lot of that work with new schools, with transportation investments, with elevators at our subway stations, with new housing, with new parkland. We're seeing all of that happening now in Community Board 4 and Community Board 5. And so this is quite an opportunity. You've heard about the Morris Park and the Eastchester community being one of the largest job centers that we represent, from Mercy to Monty, Einstein, Calvary, the site of a new Bronx STEAM Center. I want everyone to understand what that means. Brooklyn has the only STEAM center today, and we are looking at healthcare, life sciences, and research, and the career pathways that it will provide for our high school students. And we're also looking at STEAM for the Bronx because we are the Bronx, and we're adding a second M, and that M is for music, because we're the birthplace of hip hop, and we have career pathways for artists and musicians and DJs, and many of our young people that love hip hop can envision a real career pathway. So unlike any other borough, I see the Bronx STEAM as a real possibility, and I'm excited about that. The expansion around the Metro Hutchison Center, almost 2 million square feet of additional commercial, which means more jobs, more programs, boosting tourism, and we should be excited about that. Long gone are the days when the Bronx is going to be left behind. And yes, we understand there are always disagreements. But one thing I think everyone collectively can absolutely agree on is the Bronx deserves the best. We deserve the best when it comes to jobs, career pathways, economic development, affordable housing, pathways to home ownership, stimulating our economy, supporting MWBEs, and making sure that small businesses feel supported. The work we're doing with BXCDC and BICNY and the Bronx Chamber of Commerce and all of our business improvement districts. So there is a lot on the table. This is very ambitious, but I am excited and thankful that 6 years we've learned a lot. We've learned how to turn this plan into a better plan, and now the plan that is before you with the zoning text amendments, with the city's map changes and demapping of streets, very, very technical, and many of us do not have a land use background or urban planning background, but the reality is a lot of these actions need to be facilitated so that we could stimulate the growth, both residential and commercial. So I welcome your questions that you may have for Michael and Paul. And thank you, DCP. I know it has not been an easy process, a small staff at the Bronx office, but I really appreciate the effort that you have just been a part of in making sure that our community boards are as well informed as they can be. And I do recognize that we did receive recommendations from our community boards that are affected, Community Board 9, Community Board 11. Thank you so much. And Community Board 10. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The recommendations are among ours to consider, along with all of the testimony that we have received. Our deadline is May 1st, Wednesday, in which we will make our recommendations. So just again, thank you, recognizing the ability that these stations will really bring when it comes to generational wealth. And I think this administration is adamant about making sure that we grow our borough and we make sure that it's the very best. Because I will not allow the Bronx to be left behind. I will not allow us to be first in everything that is bad, but rather we're going to lead in something that is good. And the Metro North expansion with access to Penn Station is truly a part of that, reducing commute time by 50%. An hour-long commute becomes 30 minutes with points to Manhattan, as well as points north in Westchester and east in Connecticut. Definitely a game changer. And guess what? The Bronx can lead in that. So I thank you for your time this afternoon. I thank you for your commitment. And I look forward to working with you because we do have a role to play in this process with our council members, with our majority leader, as well as our council members that represent Community Board 2, Community Board 9, Community Board 10, and Community Board 11. So with that, I'll turn it back over to our deputy. Thank you again, DCP. I want to thank our chair, Dan Garodnick, who joined us at our public hearing earlier this month. A good friend. He and I served in the city council together, and I do appreciate the effort that DCP has undertaken. We may not always agree, and there are times when I will push back because it's necessary. I want to make sure that the Bronx is protected. Our residents and families and businesses are protected first before we welcome new people. That's the way it always should be. And so their opinions matter to me the most as we look to build this Bronx. So thank you again, and thank you, Madam Deputy, for your time.
Thank you, Madam President. That was double presentation, right?
No, I condensed it.
We appreciate you so much. Before we move on to questions, I also want to acknowledge that we've been joined by the chairman of Community Board 5. Thank you so much for joining us. At this moment, any questions or concerns from Community Board chairs or city council representatives?
Okay.
We'll start.
Peter.
And then Peter starts? Okay.
Peter.
I noticed that accessing the Metro Touch Center is difficult at best. But I haven't seen any mention of accessing Hutchinson River Parkway, which would be a very obvious entrance to facilitate into the Metro Center. I didn't see a map action about that.
So thank you for that question. Obviously, we've heard over the years there was a previous amount of money that was sent to study the connection. We have a mapping action that is sort of creating an envelope, and the purpose of it is to be open to other options that might come up. But we've been trying to advance and balance competing, challenges, whether it be financing or land ownership or things like that. I'll just say, and if Paul wants to add anything to it, we are having continuing and ongoing conversations with DOT as we speak about how we get access both coming from the north as well as going north, which is really where you have the challenge in the evening. You have a lot of people going north, and so it's certainly something we're focused on. At the same time, we do believe that some individuals will make a rational decision to switch how they get around and to and from and out of the center. And so we also want to facilitate that. And that's, the purpose of some of our land use proposals, as well as some of the mapping actions there, such as the sidewalk question. Yeah.
So it is an open possibility.
Yes, we are exploring every possibility right now. Yeah.
At this moment, I want to call CB 11 for questions.
Yes. First, definitely want to thank Madam Borough President and Madam Vice President for your. Good morning, everyone. My name is Malcolm Gray. I'm the representative today from Community Board 11. Before I start, I definitely want to thank Madam Borough President and Madam Deputy Borough President for your leadership on this project, and definitely want to thank DCP for the information and support that you have provided. Within this project, CB11, we definitely welcome it in the sense of we understand that we are the biggest healthcare facilities in the Bronx. We understand that we play a major role in this project and also in the economic vibrancy of the Bronx in itself. We understand that the Bronx itself ranks 62 out of 62, and it takes an enormous investment and collaborative effort to showing that we are able to battle against those odds. Within the time that we have taken to learn about this project and to understand our community needs for this project, one of the major aspects that we have learned is that many of our residents in Morris Park and Van Ness have major concerns about environmental concerns. Sinkholes in Morris Park, sinkholes in Van Ness. They have concerns about water pressure, about since we are one of the few districts that have seen increased population, while we welcome affordable housing, we welcome the increase of people. We want to open our doors. We do want to ensure that our residents within our district is being attended to. So we would love to see another environmental review studies done to understand better as to how this project will affect our current homeowners and our current residents within our district. We do have concerns about the R-rate zoning. While Morris Park and Van Ness is the charm of that corridor or that area is that it is one of the few areas in the Bronx that is not dense, right? You go there, you get to experience a different lifestyle. Me, I grew up in the South Bronx. When I moved to CB11, it was a new world for me. And I think that we definitely want to protect that charm. We will welcome an R6A zoning to open up the doors for affordable housing. But if there's any a lot of our students within our district not having to travel throughout the Bronx, throughout the city. We also have a major discrepancy in parking. We understand that a lot of our residents in CB11 are drivers, so parking is a necessity. But we have had discussions on parking, and we would love to explore ways to how we can provide a more innovative way for parking. I know personally, I've had discussions with Rob Walsh at BXEDC, and he has told me his stories of at North Carolina where they've had high-rise parking, but underneath it also provided storefronts. Maybe that is something that we could even look into for the Bronx, and for CB11 in itself. But we do echo the efforts of our Madam Borough President. We support a lot of what you said about union jobs, about about activating spaces, our pedestrian plazas, and not replacing our community, but instead enhancing it, and we welcome that. We also had concerns about home ownership. Morris Park, Van Ness have high percentages of home ownership, higher than most of the Bronx, and we do want to keep those doors open for residents currently in our district and residents that will move into our district. I'm sorry, this is very long-winded, but overall, we do recommend. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but we do recommend this project. But we do want to see that our conditions are met and that we are brought to the table to ensure that it comes to fruition. Our charm of Morris Park at Van Ness and the CB11 overall is important to us. And we want to do everything that we can to protect that. And thank you.
Any feedback from BCP on those items?
So just so one, I just want to thank Board 11, but I also want to thank all three boards for really thoughtful recommendations. They are a really important part of the public review process. And I can assure you, we've taken all of everything, the feedback that we've heard for the recommendations. We have spreadsheets, as Michael alluded to. We are working actively and diligently with all of our agency partners on capital investments. Those discussions are still ongoing. So a lot of the things that you talked about in terms of sinkholes and some of those other things, all of those things, we're talking to our agencies about how we solve for a lot of those things as part of the overall capital package that will accompany the Metro North study. So thank you.
CB9 has Mohammed.
Thank you, Madam Board President, and Cookies, and all of our colleagues and friends in the government. One sentence very impressed me, Madam Board President made, add more values to our valuable community. It's wonderful. I strongly believe it. Our community, Board 9, strongly believe this, because this is a huge opportunity coming to our door. And this is the first time it is happening, even though it was initiated before. So we strongly recommend this project to be implemented as soon as possible for the best interest of all of us, our Bronxites. So I am personally and on behalf of the board recommend it. And also I want to mention this: I am one of the few very huge investor in that area, and I spoke to many people who invested in business, in housing, and in profession. They're all very excited about it. So thank you, and again thank you all for making it happen, and it will happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any other questions before we move on to a vote? Sam?
Sam.
Good morning, Samantha Cardenas on behalf of Councilmember Piedina Sanchez. Given the recent developments in Albany, including the 485 tax incentive, what interest has the administration been hearing from property owners and potential developers?
Before that, I would say, so we, as Michael alluded to, so we've been working on this process for about 6 years. And so we certainly engage with large property owners. 1601 Bronxville is one of, I think, 4 large sites, so that we've engaged with over the years about the proposal, what it would look like, and what their plans are for development. So, and we continue to have conversations. Folks have reached out to us now that the proposal is active and live, asking questions about how it would affect their property and what it might look like in the future.
Thank you. And then second question, there are several more, but I'll follow up with them via email. What discussions has the administration had with the MTA regarding fare affordability for Bronx residents?
So that I cannot speak to specifically in terms of like what the details of those conversations, but we'll certainly get back to you.
Last question, is the administration pushing for similar actions in the Bronx West Side to ensure the Metro North train stops at existing Bronx stations during rush hour?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Is the administration pushing for similar actions on the west side of the Bronx to ensure expanded train access during rush hours?
Land use actions, or you mean just service itself?
Just service itself.
That I'm not sure, but we can certainly get back to you on what the administration is doing as far as service on the west side.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Going once? Going twice? Yeah, well, definitely. So at this time, we have quorum, and I would like to move forward calling for a vote. Can I have a motion for the vote on the Metro North Area Study Proposal and related actions with the amendments suggested here today? We have a motion. Can I get a second?
A second.
Second, wonderful. We will now vote via roll call. Just for clarity, boards that are eligible to vote on this motions are CB9, 10, and 11, and they will be followed by the city council members and their representatives. So at this moment, We have a motion by CB9, second by CB11, CB10.
Vote no because of the R61 lack of parking.
Great. Moving on to city council representatives. Oh, sorry, 9 or 9?
Yes,
Second, yes. And CB11
Yes,
with recommendation. Wonderful. Moving on to city council members, Deputy Speaker, CM Diana Ayala,
Deputy Speaker Diana Ayala votes yes.
Councilmember Eric Dinowitz,
Councilmember Erica votes yes.
Councilmember Kevin Riley,
Councilmember Riley will be abstaining from city input.
Councilmember Chrissy Marmorato, Councilmember Pierina Sanchez.
If I may read the statement, Councilmember Sanchez.
Yes, please.
New Yorkers and most particularly Bronx residents are in the grasp of a painful housing and affordability crisis. As we look to the future, we must consider all strategies to help us grow the number of homes affordable to New Yorkers available across neighborhoods across our city, paying special attention to strengthening our city's economy and mind potential displacement impacts of any actions. The MTA's Penn Station Access Project and the Bronx Metro North Neighborhood Plan are critical components of this. Penn Access, which will create 4 new accessible stations, broke ground in 2022 and is expected to be completed in 2027. Land use changes are needed to allow us to holistically capture as much of the value being created by these new stations as possible, to attract investments in as many as 20,000 homes and 10,000 jobs that our city so desperately needs, and thoughtfully prevent, or at the very least, mitigate displacement. The Bronx Metro North Neighborhood Plan and accompanying land use actions are a step in the right direction. I vote aye today with concern because this project deserves to move forward in discussions. We need projects across the city that are ambitious at this scale to meaningfully address the housing and affordability crisis of our city. Yet there are many unanswered questions and community concerns that must be addressed before a yes vote in the New York City Council. As we move forward, I have many questions relating to the affordability levels of homes, availability of housing incentives, mitigations to impacted businesses and residents, infrastructure investments in open space, water, sewer, and other impacted categories, in addition to those raised by the community boards, and look forward to ongoing dialogue. With that, I vote yes.
Thank you so much, and DCP. I hope that you are taking note of the city council members' recommendations. Thank you so much, Sam. Councilmember Oswald Feliz,
Councilmember Feliz votes yes.
Councilmember Althea Stevens,
Councilmember Althea Stevens votes yes.
Councilmember Rafael Salamanca, and Majority Leader Councilmember Amanda Farias.
Councilmember Farias votes yes.
Thank you. At this moment, we will tally up the votes. Oh, and the borough president?
The Bronx Borough President votes yes.
Thank you.
9-3.
9-13.
9-3.
9-3. With that, the motion passes. So thank you all for casting your votes. That deserves a round of applause. I agree. Thank you again for your input, and thank you so much, DCP. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Paul, for your time, your attention, and your diligence on this matter. And I know that folks from our members from the Borough Board would like to connect with you afterwards. So if you can just stay a little bit after our presentation. Thank you so much. With that, moving on to our second presentation on the agenda, we have Luis Garcia, who serves as the Chief of Staff for the Bronx Economic Development Corporation, BXEDC, formerly known as BOEDC. They went through a rebranding recently. He will present us with a brief overview of the org's mission and new initiatives. Also joining Luis, we have Julius Drake, Director of Operations for the Bronx Tourism Council, who will share all things Bronx. With that, Luis, thank you. All right, thank you, guys.
Good morning, everyone. So I'll be presenting on behalf of BXEDC today, and I'll just be giving a quick rundown of our capital access programs that we have and our initiatives today. So first off, what did we do? BXEDC was established over 4 decades ago with the purpose of providing Bronx businesses with resources and capital to help building thriving community in the borough. Our mission remains the same, which is to strengthen and expand current Bronx businesses, as well as to provide incentives to encourage businesses to grow and expand in the Bronx or relocate to our borough, and to maximize employment opportunities to the Bronx residents. BXCDC also provides a wide range of programs and services to its clients, including site selection, financing, financial packaging, technical assistance, special projects, procurement assistance, liaison services with government agencies, and minority and small business development. Our initiatives today has been that we have been approved to the SBA Community Advantage Loan Program, and we have been able to secure $10 million of empowerment loan money, which will allow the Business Initiative Corporation of New York, otherwise known as BICNY, our partner organization, to supply working capital loans from $5,000 to $350,000 to businesses throughout the borough, which I'll touch upon a bit later. We also initiated the 1 Million Green Action Challenge for the borough's 12 colleges and universities to boost environmental stewardship. The winner of this challenge was Bronx Community College, and they have been presented with $1 million for their proposal. We also launched a $1 million storefront initiative under the state's Downtown Revitalization Initiative, otherwise known as DRI, for the 164th corridor, where we are located now. And we have created key partnerships with the Yes Network of the New York Yankees and 1010 Wins to promote the top attractions to small businesses in the Bronx. And we're also revitalizing the Bronx Walk of Fame, so all 135 signs will be completely renovated within possibly the next month. We also continue to update our I Love the Bronx website to include key monthly events taking place throughout the Bronx, especially now with Bronx Week coming up. And we are forging working relationships with public and private partners in all aspects, including to bring tenants to the borough. Quickly touching upon our Community Advantage. Community Advantage Loan Program is a new loan program for small to mid-sized businesses in our borough looking to scale up, or for entrepreneurs looking to start their business. The loans can range from $5,000 to $250,000, directly hitting a portion of the loan market which has been historically underserved in our borough. Community Advantage requires that 60% of all loans be made to low to moderate income areas, allowing us to cover the entire Bronx, and we have an initial focus on the empowerment zone. What can it be used for? The loans can be used for pretty much anything. When it comes to a small business, working capital, inventory, payroll, upgrading equipment, paying rent, consolidating debt, and other uses determined on a case-by-case basis. We also have our 504 loan program, which provides long-term fixed-rate financings for purchasing of real estate, major fixed assets, and capital improvements that promote business growth and job creation. This loan program is also through our partner organization, BICNY, which coordinates the financial packaging between a small business, a traditional private lender, and the SBA. It consists of two loans, one being from our private lender, which is usually one of our partner banks. The private lender gets 50%. The SBA-backed portion of the loan will be our second loan, which is through BICNY, which is 40%, and the 10% equity required from the small business owner. The loan program terms are generally capped at $5 million. Certain eligible energy efficient or manufacturing products may qualify for more than one 504 loan, up to $5.5 million. And the interest rate is below market and fixed for the life of the loan. And the required equity is a low down payment of 10% in most cases, which conserves working capital. And the terms really depends on each project, but they are 10, 20, or 25 years per term. For more information on these capital access projects or any of our loan programs, you could feel free to contact Rafael Roger, the president of BICNY, myself, or Andrew Berger. And our website, all of this information can also be found on our website, which is www.bxedc.org and www.bicny.org. Now we'll turn it all over to my colleague, Julia Strake, to talk about Bronx Week.
Thank you so much, Louis. Good morning, everyone. And I promise you, I'm going to be a 30 seconds commercial. So yeah, I'm here to talk about the exciting Bronx Week 2024. And Bronx Week is celebrating 52 years this year under the theme, More in 24. Bronx Week is slated to kick off on May 6th to May 19th. And we're going to kick off with a press conference on May 6th, which is Monday coming, next week Monday. And it's going to be at the new location, Chase Community Center on Fordham Road. So we're excited about that. It's going to be a 2-in-1 event. This year we're doing the press conference and we're also doing the sponsors appreciation. On the 9th, we have a Labor Day breakfast. One of the beautiful thing about Bronx Week is that we look to cover every aspect of the Bronx with an event. So from the press conference to a labor breakfast to a bankers breakfast, then we have a silent disco on the 10th, which is going to be at Loretta Playground. And we also have, I'm so sorry, yeah, my calendar finally pops up. Yeah, we have the Health Day, which is going to be on May 11th. And all the events that you see highlighted in orange are the events that are at official Bronx Week event, meaning that us, along with the Borough President's Office, is leading these events. And of course, we populate the calendar also with what we call additional events that are taking place throughout the month of May, in particular in Bronx Week, that the community is hosting. On the 13th, we have a veterans event. And on the 16th, we have a new interesting event, which is going to be a BX Factor event, What's Up in the Bronx. So this is going to be in the form of a Shark Tank competition, where we have 5 small businesses will be competing for a grand prize of $10,000. And they're going to do their pitch at the Yankee Stadium, and then there's going to be a panel of judges who is going to see who is going to be the winner for that event. So that's going to be an interesting one on May 16th at the Yankee Stadium. On that same day, we have the centenarian event. And then, of course, on the 18th, we have our biggest event, which is the Bronx Ball. And the Bronx Ball this year is going to be at it's going to be at the Whitestone Multiplex Cinema. And we're looking to have a good time there. Of course, in the morning of that same day, we're going to be inducting our new Bronx Walk of Famers. That's going to go up on the Grand Concourse. And I asked you to take a tour that day. We're going to be also erecting the 135 Walk of Famer sign that has been rebranded. And there's going to be a tour also along the Grand Concourse. So yes, of course, we conclude on the 19th with a Food and Hearts Festival, a concert, and a parade. Please join us. And how to join us, you can go on ilovethebronx.com for more information. Thank you.
Bronx Fashion, it is not a week, it is a month-long celebration. So we thank you so much. Thank you, Luis. Thank you, Julius. We look forward to the many initiatives that BXCDC has planned for this borough. And I know that we will have Mr. Robert Walsh, the newly appointed president of the organization, attend a future borough board meeting for a formal introduction and to discuss new projects under his leadership. And so with that, do we have any questions for BXCDC?
Everyone excited about Bronx Week? Yes. Remember, we are the only borough in the city of New York that has its own week. But no other borough has a week. And because we're special, it's 13 days, May 6th through May 19th. We will make sure all your offices get all the flyers, the website, social media boost. We need all of you to help us. We get a lot of support. It's exciting to talk about good things happening in the Bronx and recognizing small businesses, labor leaders, educators, centenarians, veterans, those who have done so much work that we stand on their shoulders. So it is going to be an exciting, exciting time. And I love the theme. That's one of the themes I adopted. I want more in 24 because this is really about access, opportunity, and it's about boosting the Bronx when it comes to tourism, being a global destination, a lot of our cultural institutions, so many things that the Bronx is known for is going to be highlighted in Bronx Week. And so we have a number of sponsors. Many of our elected officials and board members do participate in some events. Many of you are hosting them in your districts. So even more so, please help us. Silent Disco is going to be great this year again. The health fair, a lot of great things. But while we do love to have a good time, understand that everything really is about education. We are sharing information so that families have the opportunity to make better informed decisions. They are more well informed when it comes to their overall health and wellness. We are talking about walking tours of the Grand Concourse. The other highlight I want to share, many don't know, but the Bronx has turned 110 years old this year. So we're also doing a special tour with our borough historian around the birthday of the Bronx, 110. We were started in 1914. But a lot of great events. Please follow us on ilovethebronx.com. Please stay in touch and engage with us. And let's make this 2024 Bronx Week even more exciting than ever before. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Wonderful. And so with that, we'll move to announcements. Any announcements from our community board members and or city council representatives? Going once, going twice? Yes. Yes.
Sorry. Sorry. On June 15th next month, Bronx Community Board 11 will be holding our second annual Juneteenth event at Brady Court. So you look out on our social medias for that flyer and for invites.
Can you share the flyer with our office? That way we can help.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Beautiful. Any city agencies here present? Oh, announcements? Great. With that, we want to turn it over to our Director of Planning and Development at the Office of the Bronx Borough President, Jutan Hortzman, regarding City of Yes status.
City of Yes. Where does he go?
Didn't know.
So the City of Yes for Economic Opportunity is currently at City Council, and I believe it's being voted on this week. I'm looking at City Planning to give insight. Okay, within the next couple weeks.
Okay.
But then the City of Yes for Housing Opportunity, as you all are aware, has begun public review. So we're in the 60-day referral period. So every community board, borough president, as well as the borough board, will all be expected to hold public hearings and have a vote for that. So we're looking forward. 60 days, correct? 60-day referral? Yeah, 60-day referral. We're looking forward to all of your recommendations because that is an important piece of legislation that's moving forward right now and is in public review. So thank you.
It's being certified today, right?
Yes.
Is it being certified today?
Yes.
Okay. So that means the clock starts today?
Yeah.
I think it'll officially begin. I think it'll officially begin on Friday. There's usually a little bit of a lead time after the certification. So we'll make sure that you all have those specific information. You can always reach out to us, myself as well, if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jutan. Thank you. With that, I also wanted to add that our office, in conjunction with the Bronx LGBTQIA plus task force, will be hosting a career fair on May 3rd at La Central YMCA, located at 434 Westchester Avenue from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. This event will allow all attendees to connect with inclusive employers, explore diverse career opportunities, and hear from expert panelists. Again, all flyers for these events will be shared by our Director of Borough Operations, Marisol Halpern. We heard about Bronx Week, aka Bronx Month, so I won't go through that. But we also want to share that Prom Day 2024 is amongst us. We'll be hosting a prom day dress and suits giveaway for the graduating class of 2024 on May 24th. So towards that end, we're still currently accepting donations of gowns, suits, and other items to help our students prepare for their prom. Items may be dropped off at Borough Hall, 851 Grand Concourse, room 206 by May 9th. So if you have any beautiful pieces to share with our students, please do so.
Many of you have already started donating and dropping off items. Some of the civic associations, community boards, thank you. We need all the dresses, all the suits, also accessories. We're collecting shoes, heels, jewelry. It's a wonderful event. This is our second year doing this. And last year we had over 1,000 from all over the Bronx. And we also had makeup artists. We had a red carpet We had a 360 booth. We had food. We had a lot of volunteers to really make this event successful. You all understand that prom season for many families is a difficult time. If you have a child or children graduating, you may not be able to afford a $300 dress or $300 suit. So if you can all look in your closets and help us with any items that are gently used or brand new, we are happy to continue to collect them until May 9th. Please help us to make prom season as successful for so many of our families in the Bronx as much as we can for the class of 2024.
Wonderful. And so in closing, I just want to remind everyone that our upcoming Borough Service Cabinet meeting will be held on May 1st, virtually via WebEx. And our next Bronx Borough Board is scheduled for May 13th, 2024. As mentioned in the last Borough Service Cabinet meeting, in preparation of what's a little obvious, my maternity leave, both the Borough Board and Service Cabinet meetings will now be chaired by our Director of Borough Operations, Marisol Halpern, until further notice. And so we thank you all for your support and understanding. Once again, thank you for your attendance and your attention today. Please enjoy this beautiful 84-degree weather on a Monday. Once again, we're really appreciative of everything. Thank you so much, everyone.
Meeting adjourned. Adjourn the meeting. Okay, cool.